Chapter 12. For the first couple of weeks after Madison's disappearance, Mr. Holdsworth had made every possible effort to find him. The advertisements he had placed brought no replies, so he telephoned every London pet shop in the yellow pages. Quite a number had African grey parrots for sale, several recently acquired, and these he went to see. He did not tell Harry, preferring to take upon himself the disappointment of saying, "Madison?" and getting either a foolish reply or none. One bird in Harrod's Zoo did actually respond to his question sensibly enough to give him momentary hope. It had apparently been brought up in upper-class surroundings by someone who did not say the letter R correctly. "Madison," Mr. Holdsworth had said, and without hesitation it had replied, "Tably, tably, Thoe, fwade not." It was the kind of posh, silly-ass accent that Madison would have put on with ease, and just for a second he wondered. "Mad? Is that you? Stop fooling around," he said. But the parrot only answered, "Dreadfully sorry," and turned away, leaving him feel stupid. But when 3 weeks had gone by, Harry's father made up his mind on a course of action that was bold, decisive, and well-meant. He would buy a replacement for Madison. There were a number of reasons for this. First, he thought it very probable that they had seen the last of Madison. Second, he could no longer bear either the fact of Harry's obvious unhappiness or the sight of the empty parrot cage. Third, it was shortly going to be Harry's 11th birthday. "Half a loaf's better than no bread," he said to himself. So when the day came, he simply went back to Harrod's Zoo and bought the parrot. He did not tell his wife, who would certainly have advised against such a plan. He did not tell Harry, wanting to give him a nice surprise. Harry was certainly surprised at breakfast to receive nothing from his parents but good wishes. Not that he had given all that much thought to a birthday present. He was too busy moping about Madison. It had occurred to him that his bike was very old, and he half expected a new one. "You'll have to wait until this evening for your present, Harry," his father said. "I'm picking it up after work." "He wouldn't even tell me what we're giving you," his mother said at tea time, watching Harry, thinking how he had changed since his 10th birthday. The old pre-Madison Harry would have been a fever of excitement, impatience by now, showing off, being silly, roaring around the house, imagining all sorts of fantastic presents. But how much more sensible he had grown, trying harder at school, acting more thoughtfully at home, all since Madison had come. Now he had gone, leaving behind him yet another Harry, quiet and reserved. She watched him picking listlessly at his birthday cake from a Madison recipe. "It's nice, Harry. Isn't it nice, Harry?" she said. "Yes, thanks. Dad'll be home soon." "Yes. Cheer up, darling. Things could be worse." And before long, they were. When Mr. Holdsworth arrived home, he put his head around the kitchen door and said, "Stay there a minute, you two. Don't come into the sitting room till I call." In a little while he called and they came in. On the table was a box. Harry's father raised the lid. For a moment or two, nothing happened. Then out of the box, in silent, slow motion, there rose a round grey head with a sharp hooked beak. On either side of the head was a bright, considering, straw-coloured eye. Mrs. Holdsworth drew in her breath smartly. "Oh!" she cried. "It's not!" "No," said Harry, "it's not." "No, I'm afraid it isn't," Mr. Holdsworth said. "But I thought you'd like to have him, Harry. He talks a bit, and I'm sure you could teach him lots of words. And anyway, well, half a loaf's better than no bread, eh?" "Yeah. Thanks, Dad. Thanks. Thank you both. It's very kind of you." His mother plunged in hastily. "He looks awfully like Madison, don't you think?" "Doesn't he?" his father said heartily. "I mean, all parrots look alike, don't they?" There was a long, uncomfortable silence. "I've done a stupid thing," Mr. Holdsworth thought. "But I meant well." "You'll have to think of a name for it," he said. I'm sure he meant well, Mrs. Holdsworth thought. But what a stupid thing to do. "Perhaps she's already got one. Perhaps it's already got one," she said brightly. She bent forward. "Have you got a name, old boy?" Terribly sorry, said the parrot. Afraid not. The days passed, and Harry did his best to appear pleased with his birthday present, the last thing in the world he would have chosen. He realised that his father, with the kindest of intentions, must have spent a great deal of money to try and comfort him for the loss of Mad, and he tried hard not to show how much worse it had actually made things. He looked after his new pet carefully, but he could just not feel anything for him. He was just a parrot in a cage. Harry could hardly bring himself to speak to the bird, though by now it had a name. Because of the affected way he spoke, like a chinless wonder, someone suggested Fweddy, and for lack of a better idea, it struck. Mr. and Mrs. Holdsworth made attempts to hold conversations with Fweddy, but without much success. True, he would speak in reply to their efforts, but only to say he was terribly sorry, or occasionally, by a way of a change, frightfully fwilled. He also had a limited range of comments about the weather, which occasionally, by chance, made sense. But he was perfectly capable of saying on a rainy day, that it was But he was capable of saying on a fine sunny day that it was raining cats and dogs or freezing cold. And once, when the heavens opened and a downpour drummed against the window panes, Fweddy cried cheerfully, "Grand weather for the time of year, roasting hot, quite tropical, what?" He also responded to the ringing of the telephone, saying, "Answer the wretched thing, darling, I'm too weary to lift the receiver." By chance, one morning, about a week after his birthday, Harry was alone in the house. His father was at work. His mother had gone out. It was half-term holiday, so there were all sorts of things he could have been doing, but he didn't feel like doing any of them. If only Mad were here, he thought. We could have a game of something like Monopoly. What fun we used to have. The telephone rang. "Answer the wretched thing, darling," said Fweddy. "I'm too weary to lift the receiver." "Hello," said Harry in the bored, flat tones that now are customary for him. "I have a call for Harry Holdsworth," said the operator. "That's me. It's a reversed charge call from a Mr. Madison Holdsworth. Will you accept the charges?"